When you look at a Trump administration number 2, what do we do? Okay. Ultimately, and again, I want to credit Dr. Peter Pry, the author of this book, the chief of staff for the commission. He used to say, we have to go from a mindset of mad to sane. When I say mad, I'm talking about mutually assured destruction. Okay. The idea that if an adversary shoots a nuclear weapon at us, we're going to shoot it back and we're both going to just nuke each other until the whole world is just, a nuclear holocaust. We need to go from that concept to sane, mad to sane. What's sane? Strategic assured national existence. What does strategic assured national existence look like? It's 3 factors. You got to protect the people, you got to provide power for the people, and you got to prepare the people. Protection, what does that look like? Effective missile defense, ballistic missile defense. You've heard President Trump talk about making a, quote, Iron Dome for the United States. Mm-hmm. The fact that we don't have missile defense, early warning capability to the southern sector of our country is absolutely inexcusable, right? We should have both space-based missile defense and we should have Aegis Ashore. So those same Aegis destroyers that have missile detection and the capability to shoot down missiles that are deployed overseas can be placed right down the road from here in the Gulf Coast to take care of that, right? Protect the people, effective ballistic missile defense, a good nuclear deterrent, the restoration of the U.S. military, which I know we both share a desire to see that happen. That's the protection part, right? And I should also say part of that is getting rid of the 275,000 special interest aliens that could sabotage this grid.
They have to go.
That's right.
I don't want to get off track of the grid, but you said something that's super important that I want to point out. The military-industrial complex, the warmongers and neocons in Washington, D.C., they tend to, on both sides of the aisle, by the way, Republicans and Democrats, they tend to be behind, pro-war global conflicts because that's where the money's at, right? But if these companies would focus on aligning with President Trump, there's more money to be made in restocking our surplus, building an Iron Dome,
right?
Like protecting our grid.
That's right.
Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. Dr. Pry used to say that. This is the defense industry of the future, protecting this critical infrastructure, providing for the ballistic missile defense here. And the other reality is, you and I both, and we think about, as Marines, right? We think about targets, 5-meter targets, 15-meter targets, So when you look at Syria, that's like a 500-meter target for us. Mm. For Israel, that's like a 5 or 10-meter target. You let them take that target, right? You find the good allies that you have in other parts of the world, and you be a good ally. You be a good friend to them, right? And then you worry about what's a 5-meter target for you. Right now, that's what that is for us. Getting the special interest aliens that could sabotage that grid out of this country and providing for that effective ballistic missile defense so that an adversary can't, whether it be off the coast. And look, Iran has rehearsed this, shooting ballistic missiles off of freighters in the Caspian Sea. The Russians have containerized ballistic missiles that are nuclear capable that can be imported into a country. It looks like a regular shipping container, right? The North Koreans, a vessel called Chongchong-gang parked in Cuba, picked up 2 SA-2 surface-to-air missiles, transited the Gulf of Mexico where they turned off their international detection system, which is what alerted American authorities, and they turned it back on going through the Panama Canal. We didn't know they had these ballistic missiles until they were seized in the Panama Canal, and they found them on their launchers under 200 tons of sugar.
They could have launched.
They didn't have nuclear warheads, and they weren't launch ready, but they proved the concept that they could go to Cuba, they could transit the Gulf, where again, we lack significant awareness in ballistic missile defense. And if they had wanted to, they could, the Congressional Commission called it the Scud in a tub scenario.
It's the feasibility studies. We do them all the time.
That's right.
And by the way, pop quiz for those listening, outside of Mexico and Canada, which border the United States, if you could ask yourself, what's the closest country to the United States? In Russia.
Absolutely.
They have the landmass. This is striking range. And, Russia obviously is a threat.
Right.
These are right here in range of the United States.
Yeah. And they've told us, the Russians in Vienna in 1999 told us, we can do this to cause harm to you, right? And so this is, again, persistent in their doctrine. Mm-hmm. It's persistent in their capabilities. And when you rehearse something, that means you intend to use it if you need to. Yeah. So when we talk about sane, we talk about protecting the people. We just covered that. The next piece is powering the people, right? That's what we talk about, protecting the grid. And then the last piece I'm going to let you save for 2 future guests.
Okay.
We talked about one, Jonathan Hollerman, and Command Sergeant Major Michael Mabey. Command Sergeant Major Michael Mabey authored the Civil Defense book, which I have down here. I'll show it to you in a minute. So those guys. So let's take. We covered protecting the people. We're going to leave preparing the people for those two future guests. Now we can talk about what is the optimistic part of this, which is power. Providing power for the people, electric power, and the fact that this is indeed a fixable problem.
You actually had to work on this specifically in uniform still as a Marine under President Trump. Correct?
I did. Yeah. I mean, what a kind of an awesome opportunity, and it is a story worth telling. So you have a commander-in-chief that comes in who's aware of the threat, right? And passes an executive order. But I should say even before that, what's the first thing that commander-in-chief does with this national security team? It's a strategy, right? And so the national security strategy that was published in 2017, right after President Trump's election, what did it say for the first time? There was a part of it that said, we will protect our critical infrastructure from cyber and electromagnetic spectrum threats. That was in the strategy. And as you know, as a military man, that strategy then informs everything else that comes underneath it. And so what happened is a very courageous general officer, incredibly smart, faithful man, Lieutenant General Stephen Quast, he saw that and said, okay, I've got top cover now. I can address this.
Came from the commander-in-chief.
Came from the commander-in-chief. So theoretically, if it's from the commander-in-chief, you got top cover. General Quast created what was called the Electromagnetic Defense Task Force, or EDTF, as part of the U.S. Air Force. He had a very his aide, Major David Stuckenberg, another future guest for you. I should mention. He helped put together the staff. I got a phone call from Major Stuckenberg. Hey, I know you work this on the civilian side with your nonprofit. I need you to come work this. I said, hey, I can do whatever you need to, man. My civilian job is flexible. No. I need you to work this in uniform. I need you to work this on the classified side. Okay. So this is another kind of so I got to do an ethics review with the Marine Corps, right? Because I work for a company. I'm going to I'm a reservist. I'm going to be put on orders to go work in something that is involved with the company that I work for. But my company's a nonprofit.
You got to be making money off of it.
Right. So it was like the easiest ethics review they ever did. They're like, wait a minute, you don't take money from the government. So this is easy. I'm like, yeah, well, I just want to make sure we're good. Right. So ethics review is good. We go through, make sure the clearances are good. And then I had the opportunity to do that as I think the only Marine as part of that task force.
Air Force task force?
It invited hundreds of members from the U.S. government from multiple agencies, from the intelligence community to the Department of Energy, DOD, but it was led by U.S. Air Force Air Education Training Command, AETC. So you think about the training commands, the Marine Corps, TCOM, TRADOC, these different commands for education. General Quast was over that. So he made it as part of that education command. Okay. And so I was a staff member behind the scenes. I got to be a little careful about how I talk about the things that we did, because a lot of it was in the classified space. What I will tell you is this. I was deeply familiar with all of this, all these facts, right? All these reports from these commissions. I was blessed to be mentored by some of the smartest people in the country on this threat. I'm not an engineer, but I can listen and I can read and I can analyze, right? And so I knew that there were certain issues out there when it comes to assessing this threat. So then I work on it in uniform. And I start to see things that are very disturbing, that make me absolutely sick, about a lack of awareness and intensity to the gravity of this threat. But I know why. And so when you go to this chairman's report that was written 2017, you go to the very last page. I'm just going to read it, okay? The last page talks about a report by the Joint Atomic Energy Intelligence Committee, JAIC, on EMP, issued in 2014 during the Obama administration, is factually erroneous and analytically unsound. What if you have a report on a threat that you just kind of want to not worry about? If you tell the intelligence community not to worry about it with factually incorrect or erroneous analysis, then they won't worry about it.
So what, again, speculation, you're not the head of President Obama. Why would President Obama say or do that?
No idea. And I don't even know if President Obama had anything to do with that. It just happened during the Obama administration. But again, think back to the practical part. Even if it's not some evil, sinister thing, if you truly believe that global warming or climate change or whatever the thing is the most existential threat to the republic,
as well as white supremacy,
or those things, right? If you have a mindset that believes those things in the bottom of your heart, you will see other things that are irreconcilable with that as either not a big deal or a problem with your agenda. Okay. So
a distraction to what you believe is the real problems.
Right. So, you don't have to be evil. You could just be really misinformed. Or the term, I think, is subverted.
Okay. I thought you were going to say stupid. It could be really stupid. Yeah.
You could be both stupid and subverted. And in fact, to be subverted, it helps to be stupid.
Guys, I'm a lifelong athlete. I've tried all kind of things, from every different diet, from all different supplements, tons of different things to make my body as healthy and as functional as possible. I heard about BioPro years ago from jiu-jitsu athletes, from UFC fighters, and they're all friends of mine who I trust that were telling me, you have to try a BioPro, and I did. I experienced a tremendous result, mostly in my sleep, to where I was sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night, to where I immediately went to sleeping 9 hours a night. BioPro has helped my recovery, my mental focus. I am a believer. I love it, or I would not be promoting it. If you're interested, go to bioproteintech.com and get yours